Hello? Doctor? The receptionist said that you were ready to see me? My name is Sierra. Thank you. Before we start, I have to ask you something. What did they tell you about me? The police, my parents, the victim? They must have painted quite the pretty picture. Oh, is that right? Well, I'll give you credit for wanting to hear every side of the story before casting judgment. Even if there isn't much worth telling. The beginning? Pretty sure that will burn through most of our time. Are you sure you want to talk about it, even though you've probably heard it? Well, alright. You're the expert. It all started about 8 years ago. Back then, I was wading my way through high school at a solid B average. That's the only thing average about me. I mean, I'm a freak. That's what I mean. I've always been a lot weird. I used to fry ants with a magnifying glass as a kid. I love slasher movies. I would always dress up like a slasher for Halloween. I really enjoyed dissecting animals at school. I have my own knife collection. I used to fantasize about kidnapping people all the time. I even tried to make a voodoo doll of a bully once. Didn't work. You're asking me. That's just it. I don't know where this all started. My parents were perfectly normal, even if my interests did unnerve them a bit. Since they both worked, they weren't home very often, and I got stuck with a babysitter. My upbringing was normal. I don't think I was particularly rebellious as a teenager. I mean, I did watch a few R-rated movies before I was old enough, but other than that, I really can't think of anything that transitioned me into that behavior. That being said, even back then, I knew I wasn't normal. Normal people don't have such disturbing tendencies. I was too scared to try and make friends for fear of getting ostracized if they ever found out. But then, it got worse. May I have that fidget toy? Thanks. Then it was my senior year. And that was when I met him. Big blue eyes, long legs, rock-hard abs, and a wonderful personality. It was love at first sight. Or so I thought. What actually happened was that I had a really bad day. You know, one of those days when the universe slaps a kick me sign on your back. I was soaking wet, miserable, and covered in mud. And he came and comforted me. He gave me some dry clothes, bought me dinner, and when I started crying, he gave me the biggest, longest hug. That was the first time I felt accepted for who I was, warts and all. He didn't even care that I got snot on his hoodie. But that poor boy didn't know that he'd opened Pandora's box. Thanks. Just a little bit of love was all it took to break the dam. I wanted more. I needed more. So This is confidential, right? Okay. So I stalked him constantly. I would go to his house while he was home and plaster myself to the window. I went through his garbage and took souvenirs. I peeped on him in the locker room. And I stole his underwear too. What is wrong with me? Thanks. Anyway, one day I saw him with another girl. You can guess what happened next. A nasty visit from the green-eyed monster. Apparently, his girlfriend went to a different school, so they didn't get to see each other a lot. Yes, I had run into her a couple of times around town, but never put two and two together. Her name was Mariko. Decent girl, all things considered. Not a bad catch. But to me, she was a rival for his affections. Even though he and I had never gone further than classmates at most, and she knew him longer anyway. But people do crazy things when they're in love. I did crazy things. So the guy won a really nice scholarship, and since Mariko was too busy at her own school, I invited him to dinner to celebrate and pay him back for helping me before. I picked him up in my car and took him to a cozy little joint on the outskirts of town. Then I put a roofie in his drink, drove him to my house, and tied him up in the basement. My parents had gone away for the weekend, so it was just us. I sat there and waited for him to wake up. And when he did, I ranted about how cruel he was to me for daring to be in love with another woman, and slapped him multiple times. I told him that it was the only thing that put meaning into my life, and that I'd hurt myself if he didn't love me back. I still remember his response. Are you so desperate for validation that you'll break the law just to get it? That's not adorable. It's just sad, and so is wanting to hurt yourself for a guy you barely know. If I'm the only thing that puts meaning into your life, then you must be one pathetic person. I was completely caught off guard. It wasn't the response I expected. I expected him to beg me not to hurt him or Mariko, or at least demand I release him. but he was completely unafraid. He was right. I was pathetic. I am pathetic. I don't want this anymore. Sorry. Well, after he called my bluff, I didn't know what to do next. I was blinded by emotion, and I hadn't quite thought that little escapade through. Obviously, I couldn't keep him there forever, or my parents would find out. Plus, people were bound to go looking for him. So, I let him go. Naturally, he called the police, and I got arrested, committed to a mental institution, and my parents basically disowned me on top of everything else. They were supposed to be on my side, or at least try to help me. You understand? And that brings us up to the present. Me visiting the psychiatrist to try and figure out what's wrong with me. Do you have any ideas, Doc, about why I'm so screwed up? How I feel about him? I already told you. He's wonderful. Even after everything he said, I still love him. He put purpose and meaning into my life when nothing else did. And he... What? How do I feel about myself? What kind of question is that? How do you think I feel about myself? I've never been normal. Everyone thought I was a freak even before the stalking. And I turned into a total pervert just because a guy was reasonably nice to me one time. I even broke the law just to try and be with him instead of just befriending him like a normal person would. And now everyone hates me, as they should. What kind of person does that? What kind of person thinks like that? What kind of person am I? I'm someone who's not worth caring about at all. Someone that people with 2 functioning brain cells would avoid like the plague. Someone who deserves to be locked up for the rest of her life. Someone who's worthless, okay? Completely and utterly worthless. 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 I don't know. I don't know what else I could be. Thank you. What does this all mean? You're right. I was treating him like a crutch. I didn't really care about him. I just wanted him around me so I could feel like I was normal. But now he's gone, and I'm all alone. All alone. How can I stop this pain? How can I stop feeling empty in here? How do I fill this void without doing that to someone again? Love myself? I don't know if I can. You heard everything I said. You know everything I did. Do I sound like a person worth loving to you? A hug? But why? I don't deserve this.